String theory allows for some very strange occurrences. With new scientific theories like string theory allowing for infinite worlds in our own space and time, some physicists believe that dinosaurs would still exist. What's more is these dinosaurs could be in your living room. We cannot see them, feel them or contact them as they do not vibrate on our frequency. But they are as real as us. A world in which dinosaurs were not destroyed may lead to dinosaurs evolving into something very different to the dinosaurs that we think we know. In this world, dinosaurs would have had a 65 million year head start on evolution. In one world, they could be living in a super high technological world with technology and knowledge that we could only dream of. In another world, they could be living in a dark, gloomy, dying, desperate world, desperate to escape. String theory could also mean that right now you are living an infinite amount of lives in the same space and time that we are living this life. If true, it must be the same for nature. This would mean that nature would have taken a slightly or very different path and would have created some very different life to the life we have become used to on Earth. These strange alien-like species could live in our own space and time, and yet we would not even know that they were there. If string theory is true, these species could be literally thousands, millions, or even billions of years ahead of us. A species this advanced may even have developed the technology to travel through these worlds and into our world. But even if these worlds that string theory talks of do exist, what proof do we have to suggest that beings from different dimensions have been and are manipulating our world? Many freethinkers and so-called conspiracy theorists talk of reptilians. Some claim that these reptilians rule us. They put themselves in position of power and wealth. These theories are usually met with disbelief and ridicule.
Like our other organs, the brain has evolved, increasing over millions of years in complexity and information content. Its structure reflects all the stages through which it has passed. The brain has evolved from the inside out. Deep inside is the oldest part, the so-called brain stem. It conducts many of the basic biological functions, including the rhythms of life, like heartbeat and respiration. The higher functions of the brain have evolved in 3 successive stages, according to a provocative insight by the American biologist Paul MacLean. You see, capping the brain stem is the so-called R complex, R for reptile. It's the seat of aggression, ritual, territoriality, and social hierarchies. It evolved some hundreds of millions of years ago in our reptilian ancestors, So deep inside our brain is something rather like the brain of a crocodile. The information content of the human brain, expressed in bits, is probably comparable to the number of connections between the neurons in the cortex, about 100 trillion bits, 10 to the 14th connections. If written out in English, it would fill some 20 million volumes, as many as in the world's largest libraries. The equivalent of 20 million volumes worth of information is inside the heads of every one of us. The brain is a very big place in a very small space. Most of the books in the brain are up here in the cerebral cortex. Down there, in the basement of the brain, are the functions that our remote ancestors mainly depended on for survival. Aggression, child rearing, sex, the willingness to follow leaders blindly, lots of things that we can still recognize in our lives today.
Reptilian humanoids feature heavily in ancient myths from around the world. The Dragon King is a deity in Chinese mythology, commonly regarded to as the divine ruler of the ocean. According to the Chinese mythology, they have the ability to shapeshift into human form and are said to live in an underwater crystal palace. According to Islamic mythology and traditions, the jinn are sometimes described as reptilian. And like many other creatures in ancient mythology, the jinn are thought to have the ability to shapeshift into human or animal form. In the Old Testament, the book of Genesis refers to the serpent that was partly responsible for the fall of man after tempting Adam and Eve. God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all the livestock and above all the wild animals. You will crawl on your belly and you will eat dust all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head and strike his heel." To the woman he said, "I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labour you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you."